Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Chris here from Big Sports News, back at it again with another video. Today I'm going to be bringing you guys a quick recap of what happened during day one of the Optic Chicago home series, as well as what you can expect going into day two, of course, that being today, your time. So getting right into it, we of course kick things off with the Atlanta FaZe, my home team, taking on the Paris Legion. You guys know I was expecting it to go 3-1 favor of FaZe or 3-0, depending on the map set. And I really thought the Legion would play them tight, and that's what ended up happening. So the Legion came out really hot map one. It was 250 to 211 in favor of FaZe, behind a really strong three-piece at the end from Simp to close things out. But the Legion looked really strong. They could have won this map at many points, and FaZe just played better. You guys know I was backing them the whole way. They are the best team in the game without a doubt after winning stage three so dominantly after losing to New York Subliners in the semifinals, or yeah, the winners finals. And they rebounded and, of course, took stage three. And they did the same thing here. They looked really good against Legion. Legion tested them many times, and they responded very well in respawn. So in the S&D on Standoff, this is our first appearance of Standoff within the season. Of course, it was introduced into Stage 4 with the mid-season update for Season 3 of the Battle Pass. And the Legion, they looked really good on Standoff, and FaZe, they just looked lost. It was 6-1 in favor of the Legion, and FaZe, they just got to go back to the drawing board or make Standoff their insta veto. I don't know what they got to do, but they got to figure something out because that was a yikes. In the raid control, of course, FaZe looked really good as we'd all expect. They've been a good control team all year long, and Abizi and RC's took over. Abizi went on a 10 spree, and RC's dropped, I think, 26 or 27 and 14 or 15 scoreline. So they both performed really, really well. Sim played well as well, and so did Celium, but they just weren't dominating like RC and Abizi were. That was the difference that made the difference for the FaZe side. They closed it out pretty dominantly 3-1, and they looked good in the control. And they carried that momentum into the raid hardpoint. We doubled up on raid in this series. And of course, FaZe closed it out 250 or 228. The Legion honestly could have won that map, and they could have won a few of the maps in the series. They did win map two, of course. You guys knew I was expecting them to possibly take the search, and they ended up doing that. But if you're the Legion, you look really good with Zaptius, and you definitely made the right call replacing Classic with Zap. So going forward, FaZe looked really good starting out stage four against a very formidable opponent. And the Legion, they look like a top tier team, honestly. So I expect them to, at some point, get an upset over a good team. And I think they're going to be a dark horse going through the rest of the stage and into the major. Now, in our second matchup of the day, we had the Toronto Ultra taking on the Florida Mutineers. You guys know I was backing Ultra to win this one 3-1. I thought they would be too much for the Mutineers to handle. I just thought Ultra were in a league of their own since they finished top three at the major, and they looked so good. They 3-0'd, of course, the Mutineers to get to that top three finish. But honestly, the Mutineers, they came out really hot. You guys know I've always said that they're a team that pounce on any sign of weakness, and that's what they did in the series. So in the opening hardpoint, of course, that being raid hardpoint, one of their strongest map and mode combinations, excuse me, they won 250 to 182, and they just outclassed the Ultra. The Ultra looked really nervous. They didn't make the right play calls in a lot of situations that really require them to be patient and play as a team. And their teamwork was just kind of lacking throughout this entire series. So I'm curious to see how they rebound going into their next series against the Empire on Sunday, because that's a very, very important matchup for them against a very strong team. Now going into map two, of course, that being Standoff S&D, Mutineers looked very good on that as well. They won 6-2. And Ultra, they just didn't have answers to the Mutineers in situations where they had number advantages. There were two 4v2 situations that they threw away to Cult Havoc and Neptune, respectively. And there was another 2v3, I believe, that they threw away. So honestly, if I'm an Ultra, I'm just going to say, all right, let's go back to the lab. Let's work on our S&D strats, and let's figure out how to play numbers better just across the board. In Respawn and in, of course, S&D, that was something that really plagued them. And it was the difference that really made the difference in the series, and it was kind of their Achilles heel. Of course, on the raid control, they looked phenomenal. Kleenex had a very, very strong performance. You guys will see all of the crazy plays that he made in my new series, Clip It, shameless plug. That's where I compile all the highlights from the day's matches. So all the highlights from Thursday's matches are live on the channel right now as you guys are watching this. Maybe your sub box didn't notify you, but if you haven't seen it, go check it out if you want to see a recap of what happened during yesterday's matches, some of the highlights, and some of the important moments in the series. So Ultra looked really good on control. We kind of expected that. Ultra have been a very strong control team really since stage two. They've been lights out in the mode, and they continue that momentum. So in the hard point on Moscow, of course, this was a pretty weak map for both teams. Ultra going into Ur 1 and 2, and Mutineers were 3 and 4. Both teams had a few reps on it, but none of them too great. The Ultra, of course, closes out 250 to 209 through a very strong performance from Kleenex at the tail end of the game. You guys will see that in Clip It if you go back and watch the episode. Very, very incredible performance from him. 200 IQ plays, killing skies in rotation. Very well played. Now, in the game 5, S&D on Miami, of course, the Mutineers walked away with it 6-3. Ultra won 3 straight rounds, and then Mutineers responded in kind, winning 6 straight to take the map. And honestly, if I'm the Mutineers, I'm going to say, okay, we beat one of the best teams in this game. We're looking really good going into this next stage. We started out the last stage very, very badly. We were, I believe, 0-3, and then they beat Dallas and Minnesota to get to the winners bracket. And honestly, this is a really good start for them. They beat the team that went 5-0 in the last stage and the team that bounced them out of the major as well. So honestly, this was a revenge match for them. They took down one of their biggest competitors in the pool, and they're 1-0 start. So they can build on that. And honestly, if they win at least 2 more of their series, they probably guarantee winners bracket, barring anything crazy happening. So their biggest challenges now in the pool that remain are Dallas and New York. And honestly, I like their chances to make winners bracket behind this. So depending on how Dallas and New York play, one of those teams is likely to not make it to the winners bracket if Toronto turn up and really return to form. And my money's on Dallas if that's the case. But I don't know. This is going to get pretty crazy if Toronto really turn up and return to form. So if I'm the Ultra, I'm going back to the drawing board and I'm saying, hey, we're down 0-1. We really got to figure it out fast because this is going to get very ugly very fast if we don't. New York, that series is probably a dub. And honestly, depending on how tomorrow goes, we'll see if Dallas is likely to be a dub for the Ultra as well. But with Vivid being added to the roster, I think it might be, which as a segue brings me to tomorrow's matches. So we kick things off with the Dallas Empire taking on the new look London Royal Ravens. And of course, the Empire have a new look as well. They added Reese Vivid to the roster recently in place of Fellow. Fellow, of course, was a transitional piece for the Empire. They weren't planning to stick out the rest of the year with him. We all knew that. And honestly, I like this pickup for them. It's going to help them considerably in respawn and in S&D. They just didn't have decisive play calling in the moments it really mattered in S&D and in respawn. And I think Vivid will bring that to the team, and he will really help this team to turn it around because they are still in the top 5 in terms of seeding points, right? CDL points, they're pretty good. Um, they're a top tier team where that stands, and that's what really matters in the season. So as long as they can return to form and kind of pick things up, they'll be fine going forward. Personally, I favor the Dallas Empire to win this series, even though the London Royal Ravens side got considerably better, adding one of the top EU prospects, of course, that being Afro from last year's game. Finally got his visa issues sorted out, and they brought Alex back from the UK as well. I know he was having some personal issues and he took some time off. So happy to see Alex back. Happy to see Afro finally coming to the States. And I think that they'll put up a very, very good performance tomorrow. They'll be coming out trying to make a statement saying, hey, we're here and, we're contenders. London looked really good the last stage. And, I think they're going to try to keep that ball rolling. Shawnee and of course, Paul X have had great seasons thus far. And I like the addition of course, Afro to the roster. And I like Alex coming back. I think Alex getting that break will come back with hunger, and he'll be like he was last year, right? He looked really good for that Minnesota Rokkr team. And honestly, I think London will be a team to watch out for as well. If I had to pick, I would say Paris are my dark horse for Group A, and then London are my dark horse for Group B. So we'll see how tomorrow goes. I think Dallas walked away 3-1, but there's potential it goes to a game 5. And if that's the case, then I don't know. I think London will win it if it goes to game 5. Because if Afro and Alex go crazy, then they could really upset Dallas. Now, in our last matchup of the day, we will, of course, see Optic Chicago, home team, taking on, of course, the home series, taking on, of course, Minnesota Rokkr. I really am curious as to how this matchup turns out because, of course, the Minnesota Rokkr added Major Maniac in place of accuracy to kind of try to turn things around. Their S&D has really taken a dip considerably since adding Sandy to the roster. And I think adding Major Maniac back into the fold will really help them to, regain control of their S&D. It was kind of all over the place in the last stage, and that was their strongest game mode as a team last year in Modern Warfare and throughout the beginning of this year as well. So I think that adding Major Maniac back into the fold will help them to really get some decisive play calling in crucial moments that just wasn't there before. Accuracy is a great IGL, but I think he's just a little bit too, I don't know, slow, I would say, in his play style, and that was kind of the thing that was holding the team back. So we'll see if Major Maniac's play style complements him better and helps him to really, I guess, use Standy more effectively. Personally, I think that this one goes in favor of Chicago, though. I think they're going to continue the momentum that they had at the end of the major. They looked really good. They, of course, locked up a fourth place placing, losing, of course, to Toronto. And yeah, I think Chicago will take it. I think they win 3-1. And I think the S&D actually goes in their favor. But I'm not sure where the Rokkr will take a map. I think they do take at least one map. There's a possibility that they push to a game 5 and they take a couple, but I just don't know where they take maps. But as it stands, I'll just say definitively, I think Chicago wins it, and I think they take it 3-1. So if you want to keep track, I think 3-1s across the board tomorrow. I think Dallas 3-1. I think Chicago 3-1. I think it's a pretty orderly day. But famous last words for me. I always say it's going to be an orderly day, and then today happened, right? So I said today would be an orderly day, and the Ultra just came out looking pretty bad, and they lost 3-2 to the Mutineers, who no one was really expecting to beat them. But such is COD. It's a day-to-day game, and we'll see how things go tomorrow. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy all the COD. Don't forget to check out my new, of course, series Clip It on the channel here. Don't forget to check out my new series with the chat called The Call Out, where I bring you guys quick recaps. They're like quick fire recaps. Not as in depth as these videos, but they're better for social media. So if you guys ever need a quick update as to what's going on the day of the event, about 2 minutes long, be sure to check us out on Twitter or on YouTube. So yeah, guys, I'll just about wrap it up for me. Hope you guys have a great morning, noon, or night, wherever you may be on this beautiful planet. And I'll catch you on the next video. Once again, this has been Chris from Fake Sports News, and I'm signing off. Peace.